So, Iron Man 2, a movie that a lot of people hated, a lot of people were disappointed by it. To this day, people hate on it. But to be honest, there's a DVD. Hope you can see it. I enjoyed it. I think this is a fun movie. It's not bad. Is it weaker than the first one? Yeah. But I still think it works for the most part. Um, I get the issues with some of the movie, but um, I still think Jon Favreau, despite the issues that was going on with Marvel, again, I think this is becoming a running gag with these reviews of the Marvel Studio films. Always a problem. There's always a problem behind the scenes. Google it. I won't go into that. I won't go into details. But despite all that, I still thought Jon Favreau did a good job directing, and he has a bigger role in the film as Hogan. We learn his first name, Happy Hogan. He has some fun bits, which I'll get into later. But one thing I didn't mention, I'll say two things I didn't mention. I forgot to mention in the Iron Man 1 review is one, I love the way the Iron Man suit, how it shoots his blasters and the sound effect. I never get tired of that sound effect. I love that. Which you can see in the cover right there. The blasters come out of the palms of the suit, and the ending. I can't believe I forgot to talk about the ending because I thought the ending's still great. I still love that ending in the first one, which is shown again in the beginning of this movie, where Tony Stark tells the whole press that he is Iron Man. He was gonna tell them a whole BS story about his exercise training or whatever, and then he says, "I am Iron Man." Which I remember when I saw that in the theaters, I'm like, "What? He told everybody that he's Iron Man? What the fuck?" But it's ballsy. I thought it was a ballsy ending. I gotta give Marvel, Jon Favreau, everybody that was involved with the first movie credit. I think it takes huge balls to end the movie like that, especially your first movie that to a character that not a lot of people know about. But thankfully, it worked. It was a huge hit, surprised it, and they made a sequel. 2 years later, it came out in 2010. Also saw it in theaters. I saw it at midnight. I had a blast. I thought it was fun. But I will say, I always have more fun watching these Marvel movies in theaters more than I do in DVD. Not to say that I don't like him anymore, but it's always better when you watch them the first time in theaters with the crowd. It does help, but then again, that's with old movies most of the time. But anyway, Robert Downey Jr. comes back as Iron Man, Tony Stark. This time you have Don Cheadle right here. Where is he? Right there. Don Cheadle replacing Terrence Howard. Which, to be honest, I do not like Don Cheadle in the movie as Rhodes. He was one of the weakest things about this movie. I prefer Terrence Howard. I don't think him and Robert Downey Jr. have the same chemistry, the same good chemistry that Downey had Howard. But I'll say it does improve with the third movie. I'll say that, but I'll get into that when it comes to Iron Man 3. But also, when Paltrow comes back, I still think she has good chemistry with Robert Downey Jr. A lot of fun banter, back and forth. And you also have Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. She comes in the movie, which a lot of people complain about, that she felt shoehorned in just to set up the Avengers. Yeah, you can argue that, but I still think she did fine. She kicked a lot of ass. Uh, she's beautiful, so can't really complain too much. I think she did fine. I think she did fine with what she was given. Um, but this time you have Mickey Rourke. I can't say damn names anymore. Mickey Rourke as Ivan Vanko, aka Whiplash. He wants revenge on Tony Stark. After his father dies, he blames the whole Stark family for for the situation he's in. He builds these electronic whips, and wants to attack Iron Man. Mickey Rourke, I would say he did a really good job in the movie, but I do have to admit he was misused. I didn't think they used him properly, and for that I thought that did weaken his character a bit. But Mickey Rourke, I still think he did a good job. He had a presence to him. He was intimidating, and I thought he kicked ass when he got the chance to. The other villain of the movie was Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer, which is when I first saw the movie, I was annoyed by the character, but after watching the movie a couple more times, I got kind of used to him. I found him a little bit more funnier, but I didn't like him at first, but he kind of grew on me. I like Sam Rockwell. I think he's a good actor, and he did a good job. But I still think they should have given him less to do and Mickey Rourke more to do, because Mickey Rourke's a character is more interesting than Justin Hammer. But I also have to admit, there are flaws to this movie. Have to admit another thing that does weaken the film is the pacing isn't as tight as the first movie. It is a bit slow in a few parts, and the action that you do get in the movie was well done. I'll give it that, but the two fights with Whiplash were too quick and way too anticlimactic. I appreciate when you do see it. It is cool to see, but they should have been a bit longer and they should have executed the ending to those fights better. Because the first fight, it's cool, and the race car track when Mickey Rourke first shows up with his whips and he fights Iron Man. And I like the funny bit where you have Jon Favreau and as Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts in the car trying to give Tony his suit, which is shaped like a briefcase, which I thought was kind of funny. They're trying to give suit and they hit Ivan, and it's going back and forth. I loved it. I thought it was funny. I thought it worked for me. And then he finally puts the Iron Man suit, and they fight a little bit for like a minute, and then all Iron Man does is takes the chest piece out of Ivan's suit, and the fight's over. I'm like, well, really? But I do like the scene after the fight where they talk to each other, which I thought you could have used more of that, but then again, it is what it is. That scene where he tells them, if you can make God bleed, then people will cease to believe in him. I thought that was really interesting how both Robert Downey Jr. and Mickey Rourke played it, which is one of the few times Robert Downey Jr. oh, actually, Tony Stark is a bit serious in that scene because most of the movie he is mostly comedic, I should say. That's fine. I still think he's funny. I still think he's likable. And another thing I'll say when it comes to the flaws, yes, I already mentioned the first fight. The second fight is even more anticlimactic. I mean, you do get the fights with you get to see Iron Man and right here, Iron Man and damn lighting, Iron Man and War Machine fight the other robots. But then they just kill them all like easily, and then they have that fight with Whiplash at the end, which is kind of cool at first, and again anticlimactic. I'm like, you could have done better. You can do more with it, whatever. But still fun to watch, despite being anticlimactic. And then you have the action scene with War Machine Iron Man. But that's pretty much it with the problems: pacing, anticlimactic, action scenes, or fights with Flash and Iron Man, and a little too much adventure setup. I don't really need the Captain America shield in there. I mean, it's cool before. It was cool. I'll say these Easter eggs were kind of cool before we saw the future movies, but now that those movies have been released, you see these scenes again, and you're like, whatever. But anyway, one thing I really liked about this movie is you get a subplot where Tony Stark's dying. That chess piece that he got in the first movie is killing him. He doesn't tell anyone. He tries to hide it, but eventually Rhodes finds out, and then at the end Pepper finds out. It is played for last, but I didn't mind it. But I thought the whole subplot was good. And then you get stuff with the dad, which I also liked. But I still enjoy Iron Man 2. Yes, it's the weakest, in my opinion, of the Marvel Studios films, but I enjoy all these movies. Spoiler alert. But yeah, I understand the problems with it. You know, anticlimactic, slow pace, too much adventure, Easter eggs. But yeah, I thought it worked for the most part. And also one scene I also really liked. I gotta mention this. The Senate meeting scene where he's kind of fucking with the senator played by God, what the hell's his name? I'm sorry, I can't believe I forgot his name. But he kind of talks like this, Mr. Stark. May I have your attention? You know, that guy. He gets pissed off with Tony Stark. That scene in Iron Man 2, I think, is actually more interesting now. After Captain America Winter Soldier, which I'll get into with that senator character, but yeah, I like the ending of Iron Man 2, where you Tony and Rhodes get a medal, the Medal of Honor, yeah, and the senator has to give it to them. He calls him prick. I thought that's funny. Wow, Highway to Hell by AC/DC, which one thing I also forgot to mention in Iron Man 1 review. The AC/DC songs I really like. It goes well with the tone of the film. Of course, in the first movie you had the what AC/DC song? Back in Black. Back in Black in the intro, and of course you had the song Iron Man by Black Sabbath. In this movie you have yeah, like I mentioned, Highway to Hell, and I forgot the name of the Shoot to Thrill, I believe so. Yeah, it's in this movie. I remember there wasn't all the trailers, but it really, I'm a fan. I like AC/DC. But anyway, overall, I enjoyed Iron Man 2, and also liked another thing I don't know why I forgot a lot of things in Iron Man 1 review. Shame on me, but yeah, Clark Gregg is Agent Coulson, which is kind of like Nick Fury's right hand man, or whatever. Another likable character. He shows up again in this movie, only for a little bit, and I like that character. He also appears in the next movie I'm going to talk about, but he also has some fun banter with Tony Stark. If I have to do, if I have to use excessive force, I'm gonna have to. If you try to leave the premises. But I almost forgot to mention when I was talking about Jon Favreau in the beginning of the review. He has that fun fight scene where he tries and fight that one bodyguard while Black Widow is fighting all the other bodyguards. She's kicking ass, and he barely can put up a fight. And he tries biting the guy's ear, and then he finally knocks him down. He says, "I got one," and then he sees that Black Widow has beaten everybody up. I thought that was funny. But one thing that we never got to find out is what happened to Ivan's bird. We never see that bird again. Maybe we'll find out in a future film. But I also like that bit where he wants his bird. I want my bud. That's not my bird. I want my bud. I want bud now. And of course the end credit scene where you see Thor's hammer, which is again cool back in 2010 because you don't know how the movie's gonna turn out, but then you see it now, you're like, Thor's hammer, whatever. Another thing I have to mention, actually two things before I wrap up. I know I'm going all over the place, but whatever. There's this like bit during the fight scene and the between War Machine and Iron Man, where Pepper confronts Black Widow, Natasha. She confronts her and says, I'm on to you. Ever since you came around, Tony started acting weird, and that's kind of never brought up again. And then they get along afterwards. I'm like, huh? What was the point of that? But to be fair, Tony does mention that, like, hey, I thought you two didn't get along. Like, and Pepper's like, no, we get along fine. I'm guessing they cut a scene out, which explains, but or maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know. But the one action scene I will say that's the best is the War Machine and Iron Man scene. I didn't think it was anticlimactic, like the whiplash fights, and I like how Rhodes is getting pissed off at Tony, rightfully so. I mean, he's in a suit and he's drunk and just shooting a bunch of stuff, and he could hurt people. So a lot of people complaining about that. Oh, that fight scene is so stupid because Rhodes um, starts fighting Iron Man with the suit, and he can get more people hurt. Like, yeah, but he does tell everybody to get out, so he does give him a chance. But the whole scene is done well. You can argue it is anticlimactic, but not as bad as the other fights. Um, but overall, I still enjoy this movie despite its problems that I mentioned: pacing, anticlimactic fights, um, the Easter eggs that feel necessary now when you look back, and the whole conflict with Pepper and Natasha, which kind of went nowhere, but whatever. Um, but I still enjoy this movie, and what can I say? I liked it. But thanks for watching. If you didn't like Iron Man 2, let me know. I probably know why you don't like Iron Man 2. But do you like the movie? Let me know in the comment section. But thanks for watching. And next up is have to talk about a God of Thunder with a giant hammer. But that's next. That's for the next video. Alright. Thanks for watching, and adios.